So I want to welcome Michelle Bailey. And before we get started, Michelle, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do also for NAR.
Oh yeah, thanks. Hey guys, who all do we expect on the call? We got Tennessee. Who's all in Tennessee?
We got Robbie's team sometimes on it, Steve Gilbert's team sometimes on it. The EXP team has not been on it yet. And then Katie Smalley from Murphy's or from Chattanooga from Charlotte's team is sometimes on it along with Teresa. But I record
awesome.
them and we post them on Facebook on YouTube. So they can look at them later too, because some of them are different time zone, like Charlotte and Robbie are. They're Eastern.
Oh, okay, got it. All right, you guys have the weird time zone cut in half. Perfect. So, yes, Michelle Bailey. I'm from Boise, Idaho. I've been partners with Ben since 2006. So I'm what they would call us an OG, right, Wes? An OG.
Absolutely.
I am very involved, and I'll get into that a little bit with the topic today, because the topic from my perspective is taking ownership of your business. And you want me to go ahead and jump into it, or did you guys do anything beforehand?
No, go ahead and jump into it.
All right, I'm going to share my screen, assuming I can do this right, because that's always the fun part. Can you guys see that okay?
Yep. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, I'm telling you, this will be interactive. And so I would love and appreciate the respect of having your cameras on, and even being able to talk. So this isn't me just sitting up here having a conversation by myself, because that's super boring. But I'm a realtor, so I could do it if we really need to. I just don't want to. Is that a deal? Except Jana, who's driving, and if she gets into an accident, it's going to be recorded. All right, so today
I'm almost there, so I'll be in place in a minute.
Okay, all right, perfect. We just don't want you getting into an accident, sister. So today we're talking about taking ownership of your business. So who in the world am I? Let me just share a little bit more about my background. And so this is kind of my funny way of saying, who's this chick anyway? I told you where I'm from. I'm actually originally from the Bay Area of California. I moved to Idaho in 2005 with my two kiddos. And if you guys are chatting with me, I also cannot. Okay, Carly's on an inspection. Okay, I'm not going to pay attention to chat. Otherwise, you're going to get me off. I'll have ADHD. So I moved to Idaho in 2005 with my two young boys as just a way to kind of like start over. And after divorce and all some personal stuff. When I moved to Idaho, I didn't know a ton of people, and I kind of accidentally fell into real estate. There's more to that story, but Idaho is a little bit of a good old boys area and very conservative. And so it's based on who you know. And so I found it really hard to actually find a job when I moved here. Believe it or not, my first job was cold calling, and I hated it. I hated it so much that I quit on day one. So funny enough, now 17 years later, I'm cold calling. Actually, I call it warm calling now. So all my different hats are, I'm a team leader, like Wes. I run the Boise team. I recruit. I train. I mentor. I am a coach with Forward Coaching, and I am a business coach with Place. So I help Place teams around the country implement our different value stacks. I am still a practicing realtor, doing about, well, so far this year, I've done about 6 million. So for our area, that's going to be between 12 and 15 transactions. I'm mom, friend, all that fun stuff. And then my service work, as Wes kind of started to get into, is my passion for our industry. And so I am currently serving on our state level with our state executive team in Idaho. I'm called a West District Vice President, which means that I serve a region of Idaho, and I'm the liaison to the state. I also serve at the national level. I've gone through their leadership academy, and and I am a board of director. And then I was just appointed to the multiple listing service policy and service. It's a long one. I can't even keep it straight. So basically what that means is with all this fun stuff with the lawsuit, which is what Wes and I were just kind of chatting about before it started. I now am very excited to learn at a deeper level what's happening behind the scenes. And so I'm excited about that. Now, why do I share all this junk with you? It's not just to say, oh, look who I'm cool, whatever. I don't even know. I don't have a life, whatever it is. At the end of the day, it's about, we all have 24 hours in a day, right? And we've heard this, and we still make choices based on what it is we want, or maybe we want to do something else, but we get stuck in the rut because naturally speaking, we stick where things are comfortable, right? Okay.
Yep.
Apparently I can't click this thing forward. Can you hear it clicking? Let's see. We'll just do it this way. All right. So business owner versus an employee. This is going to be part of the discussion part. So when you are a business owner, what are some of the activities that you focus on versus when you are an employee?
What my business plan is for the year, where I'm going to get my business.
Where are you going to get your business? Yep. What else might you be? Sorry.
Profit and loss. Profit and loss.
From a
Overall.
business perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else?
Staying current.
Angie, were you?
I'm focused on my pipeline.
Your timeline? Pipeline. That's better. Pipeline. Angie, did you say something?
I did. I said staying current.
What does that mean, staying current?
Well, knowing about the market and different things like that.
Okay. Love that. What are some things that we do that we that really kind of demonstrate our mindset of being an employee?
We just show up.
Lead generation. Oh,
We just show up. Yeah. Who said lead generation?
me, Carly.
So what do you mean by that, Carly?
For me, I have, and it kind of goes hand in hand with my time blocking system. Like I like to block time specifically for lead generation that I dedicate to, just to keep myself accountable for the activities I'm doing. And lead generation is really important for building that timeline, or now you've got me saying timeline, pipeline, and just making sure that I'm doing the activities I need to be doing to create and generate that business. I guess.
Yeah. So those are activities of a business owner, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I agree with you. What else? What are some things that we do that sometimes really fall more on the employee mindset?
Complain about the boss.
Complain about the boss. Yeah, that could be. Plug your ears, Wes.
Well, you can complain about yourself if you're self-employed, so.
Oh, yeah. 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 How about something else?
Well, when you're an employee, when you walk out of the office or the store or wherever it is you're working, you don't really take it home with you. Usually it's like, you're kind of done. You don't really think about it so much, as opposed to being self-employed where it never leaves you.
Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true. Sometimes we absolutely get stuck in this idea that I get to just show up, or someone else is responsible for telling me what I need to do, instead of showing up like a partner and realizing that we are still responsible for our own actions and for our own business. And Wes may be a great leader. He is a great leader, not maybe. And it's still up to us, right, to show up and do what is needed to do. If you hired yourself today, if you were to grade yourself, you don't have to say this out loud, would you hire yourself again, or would you fire yourself? And that's a
in the
legitimate
hot seat.
question.
I'm in the
You're
hot
what?
seat right now. I'm in the hot seat.
Why are you in the hot seat? Are you firing yourself? Oh, you're firing yourself. You're getting close.
I am more so like, okay, I'm just a really self-aware person, I guess, and I'm okay with sharing it. I just know that there's more things that I need to improve on to improve my overall performance. And it's just holding myself accountable for those things. But my biggest issue right now is just getting that stuff organized and, setting it into more digestible chunks that are doable versus looking at the whole problem, getting overwhelmed and not being sure what to do and then end up doing nothing. So that's just me being self-aware and more accountable for what I'm not doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it actually kind of leads right into, do you have a clear plan and are you breaking it down? Most of the teams that I coach around the country, they have a GPA, right? We all did that. We all did a GPA at the beginning of the year, and Chris has talked about it. Ben has talked about it. And yet, how often do we pull it out, and how often are we actually looking at it? And how often are we making changes based on how we're doing with our GPA? Right? Even I, as a coach and a team leader, last year, I met with my admin team every single week religiously. And we had a monthly 411. And every week we talked about the goals in order to move things forward. And I failed at actually executing on modifications. So we hit the same number that we've hit for 4 years in a row now. So it's not just, I appreciate that you actually said that, Carly. It is Carly, right? Or is it Carlia?
Yeah, just Carly.
Okay. So I appreciate that you said that, because that is huge self-awareness. It's making sure that we are aware of what we're doing and then actually executing on something, right? Do you guys break down? Are you really good about creating a clear plan? Anyone
I'm
else?
trying to get better. Trying to
No.
get better.
Does anyone do a clear plan? Does anyone break it down?
Yes, we did. I do think we use the place business planner to kind of break down, like, okay, how many calls does that mean per week, per day? If you're going to want to have 20, 40 deals, whatever. So I think that is clear, but I think you're right. Coming back to the readjustment and revisiting it is a weak spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, if you think about it, as a business owner, if we know that we have 2 appointments that we need to set a week, I'm just pulling a number out of the air, right? If we came in Monday and we set 2 appointments, and maybe Tuesday we did some follow-up and other things, like, could you take the rest of the week off and feel no shame in taking the rest of the week off? Wes is like, don't tell him that.
No.
Right?
No.
You wouldn't feel good about taking the
maybe.
rest of the week off?
I wouldn't take it off. I might do different activity that would still be follow-up or research or something like that would still be beneficial to my business. I may not be tearing up the phone trying to get another appointment that week, but I would definitely be doing follow-up or revisiting past clients, just checking in with them, that sort of thing.
I think you
Awesome.
got to stay in the grind. I mean, because you may have 2 appointments for this week, but what about next week? And what about the week after that?
Yeah, I love that. I love you guys are like, no, Michelle, you're wrong. We got to stick with it. This is awesome. And my point in that is, if we came into the week with the mindset of, I have to hit this appointment goal, and then I can do my other stuff that maybe isn't the high priority, right? Then we're not having that stress that we carry on throughout the week, because the reality is most of the time we actually put our business on a drip system, meaning we'll come in, grab some coffee. I mean, you guys seem to be all over the place. That may not be the case, but you come in, you grab some coffee, you do power up, you make some calls, you take a break, you make a call or two, you respond to email, right? Like there's no like real intentionality with it. So when we talk about creating a plan, it's creating that plan with intentionality around what it is you need to accomplish that day in order to move your business forward. So that way, when you get to the end of the day, you can feel good that you did what was needed. How often do we get to the end of the day and we say, oh, I was super busy, I'm exhausted, and nothing about the day actually moved things forward?
All the time.
Yeah. Absolutely. So when we, at the beginning of the week or beginning of the year, we created all these goals, and we're mid-August. So have you guys already done your mid-year and recalculated, Wes?
No, we got quite a few have just come on. Angie, Austin, Janie, and Carly, and Jana would be the only ones.
Okay. All right. So hopefully you guys have made adjustments for those that are have been with the team a little bit, unless you're on track and maybe you're pushing yourself. Business around the country is down, but what's important is not focusing on the fact that business is down around the country. What's important is focusing on the business that's actually happening, because when you focus on what's actually happening, then you can feel better about going out and getting it, right? Sometimes we surround ourselves with, oh gosh, the story I always think about is, before the market crashed, when I got into real estate, I had no idea the market was slowing down or what that even meant. I just had to feed kiddos. And when I would go to different networking events or an association meeting, and realtors are talking about the world coming to an end and how afraid they are. And I would leave stressed out and nervous. How am I supposed to go out and connect and empower my clients and provide options and counsel them, right? So that's when who you surround yourself with matters. And by the way, you're in the right place. Boom. All right. So tell me, what actually gets in the way of executing a plan?
Everything.
Distractions of all sorts.
Yeah.
Well, what's the story we're telling ourselves? Like you say distractions, you say everything, but what are we saying in our head when we know we need to create a plan? We kind of want to create a plan, but there's still a reason we're not.
I think mine is, I'm just going to talk for myself, I guess. Mine is a lot of discouragement, I think. I think it's just like us being in the rejection business almost. I hear so many no's. And after an hour and a half of it, I'm just like, okay, I got to take a break. Like this is too much. And then I get to chatting, and then I get walking around, and then it's just built on that. And then I've just lost my whole day without realizing it. So
I can appreciate that.
I just got to get better about like buckling down and just eating the nails and just being done with it, so that I can go home and not feel like I've just wasted my whole day and not gotten anything out of it.
Yeah, the truth is, Carly, that we are inherently lazy humans. It just is what it is, right? And owning that and being okay and acknowledging that, and then setting up things to help us actually move forward, right? So what you just talked about was the execution part of the plan. Do you have a clear plan every single week and every single day that you need to do in order to move business forward and to feel good at the end of the day?
No,
I don't have a complete plan.
I got you both at the same time.
Go ahead.
It's just a big old no.
Okay, so I'll come back to you, Angie. If you were, Carly, to take legit 15 minutes tops on a Sunday, and you said, I have to do these priorities this week, and then you put them in priority and you scheduled them on your calendar with enough time to actually do them, how do you think that alone would make a difference in your business?
totally feel the pressure of it. But if I could ask, is there, there's an example I can kind of look at of what that would look like, maybe in Brevity or something? I don't, do you guys use Brevity?
Yeah.
Of what that schedule looks like, because I time block for prospecting, but I kind of need work
Okay.
on everything else.
All right. So perfect. This is a great example. You time block for prospecting. It's in your calendar. You set time aside. What are
Mhm.
you doing during that time?
Normally I'll pick a specific lead generation focus. So like one day I'll do expired cancel, one day I'll do circle prospecting, another day I'll focus on for sale by owners or something like that. And then
Okay,
on
so
Monday,
do you-
typically go back into the sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all right. So my question with that is if you looked at your calendar and you have prospecting time blocked, do you already have in there what day you're doing, what it is you're doing?
No,
So like,
I don't.
is Tuesday canceled expires as an example? Thank you, Angie. If Tuesday's canceled expires and that's what you're focusing, that should be in your calendar. Prospecting is the general umbrella. The specific clear plan is knowing that when you walk into your office or you sit down at your desk, there is no thought process to who am I going to call, because it's already laid out and you know. And based on your annual goals, you know how many people you need to call every single day, right? Then when you're actually going back and you're looking at your results, when you use Brevity efficiently, then you'll know what your conversions are. And you'll know if you're on track or not on track. You'll know where to make adjustments. And by the way, you don't have to know all this yourself because you have an amazing leader that can walk you through all of that. Does that make sense?
I'm so sorry, my service is going in and out, so I may lose everybody.
That's all right. You're just missing the best parts. It's all good.
Yeah. I have Michelle, I would say one thing that I'm hearing, and we talked a lot about that, like just sit down and having that specific, which I think is total amen. I would say on paper, I'm like committed, like, okay, I'm gonna make 100 phone calls. Okay. But when it comes down to it, I'm like, okay, I thought I was going to make 100. So this will, if I make 100, then it'll be this and this and this. And so the reality is like, I just sat here and I thought I could make 100 and it's really more like 20 or whatever. And so that discouragement for me is really playing out like on paper versus a reality. And so I have to keep reconciling that, or the ones like I made calls, but they're not in Brevity because I didn't record them. So that momentum is a killer. When I, on paper, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to make 36 deals this year. Absolutely. But I'm like so behind at this point. And like, I have 3 deals going right now, which is great, but I also have to reconcile, like I have a forward coach. She's like, it's okay because you're, you're getting some stuff done. So let go of that, like those numbers, because that's not so important. If you're getting appointments and deals, then let's work with that.
So I have a couple comments. I'm going to try to remember all of them and not step on the toes of your forward coach, because I don't know who your coach is and you don't have to say it. But you set a goal at the beginning of the year for a reason. And it was to fund life, I'm assuming, that you wanted to have.
Yeah.
And my first question would be, why are you giving up on yourself on those goals? What is it you are allowing yourself to no longer push forward? You don't have to answer that here right now. The second part of that is, it is about the numbers, and you can put like your mojo or your canceled expired calls that are not in Brevity. You can add that to Brevity, because you can add activities to Brevity to help keep you on track with your other lead gen levers that's not automatically tracked by Brivity, right?
Mhm.
So the question really becomes, I'm only doing 20 calls. Okay, why? Is it a time issue? Are you just having conversations with people that you just can't get off the phone? Like, what's getting in the way of that? So you're only hitting 20 calls? Because I think that's a valid and more common than we're willing to admit reason we're not hitting our stuff.
A lot of it's like, it feels like a fish hook. You got a fish and you're pulling the fish in, and you got all the seaweed, all these, like, all this shrapnel that kind of gets, it's snagging. Like, I've got whatever, like, I have a COA that wasn't clear, so I have to get that, and I have to get another floor plan, and I have to, so all those things are like, what just happened? Those are important things.
Perfect. That's it. That's a great example, because Jana, that means you're spending your lead gen time doing lead follow-up. Your 100 calls goal is lead gen time. So that means when you know you have all these things to do, turn off your email, turn off your text messages, whatever notifications, and spend the time that you have designated for lead gen to do just lead gen. If you have to even just write it down so you know to come back to it. We tend to create urgency where there is no urgency. I mean, our society in general, they're like, I asked you a question 5 seconds ago. How come you haven't answered me? Because I'm going to the bathroom. That's why. Seriously, like, come on, like, have some grace. So have some grace with yourself too. But we have to be okay setting some boundaries, and there's nothing wrong even with, if you can't ignore it, coming back and saying, hey, I'm walking into an appointment. I will get back to you this afternoon. I guarantee you guys, 98% of the people are going to say, okay, thank you. We're the ones that create the unrealistic expectations in our head because we want to just respond.
Mhm.
Does that
People
help?
pleasers.
People pleasers, absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so when you say, yep, that's good, what's going on in your head? Like, is this something that you feel like you can get into action on? Or do you feel like, I'm going to talk, maybe?
I think it's imperative. If you're going to have a successful career in real estate, there's no getting around it. It has to happen.
Yeah, it's tough medicine. It's like, hey, if you want to lose weight, you have to be a little hungry. It just, make peace with boring, make peace with, like, boundarying up, and then really protecting that like it's a valuable. I think the problem is we're not seeing that lead gen time is actually super valuable time. I just think it's hard. And so we're like, oh, sure, I'll go do this errand for you. I'll go get some coffee. I'll go, because those are easier. The water flows to easier places. And so we keep kind of running out the door when we're just not protecting the time, because we don't think it's as valuable, because it's tough and it feels futile.
Yeah. I always say that any type you're doing, any type of lead gen, you're making deposits into the lead gen gods, and it will come back to you somewhere, right? If you're filling these buckets, it will come back. It's like, has anyone taken Bold? Jen, have you taken Bold? Any of the olders? Wes, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. They talk about what you focus on expands, or the money, like, I'm a money magnet, right? And honestly, I just roll my eyes. I'm like, okay, I'm a money magnet. And other people that really believe it and they're into it and they're like, I'm a money magnet, and they get all intense in it. And then, do you ever notice, like, they get some random I just got a random $85 check in the mail. Like, you can't plan for that kind of stuff, right? So that's why I laugh about, we're making deposits to the lead gen gods, and we're putting in the work, and we're putting the energy out there that we're looking for business, and we're working on converting. And then all of a sudden you'll get some $500,000 buyer that's cash ready to close in 2 weeks. And you're like, where'd this come from? Well, it didn't just come out of thin air. You've been putting in the work.
Sowing
And-
seeds.
Yes, absolutely. And we're in a market where it is tougher and we have to do more activities in order to accomplish the same results. And that's exhausting. And we're tired of it. And we want to see more results. So there is a part of having grace with ourselves with that and being realistic.
Mhm.
All right. I'm going to move on to the next slide, I think. It worked. So some of this is getting out of your head. How many of you are familiar with the disc?
I am. Kind
2
of.
of you.
I took it.
Okay. Yeah, it is good. And when I partnered with Ben, I was a high C and a high D. So I argue with myself all the time in my head about who's right and slow down, go faster, slow down, go faster, right? And I would argue all the time with Ben about I need a buyer presentation in order to do this. I need the listing presentation in order to do this. Like I need all this stuff to be right before I go to the appointment, before I make these calls. And if you know Ben at all, he's the exact opposite. Like, you know, throw up a conference and, oh, hey, by the way, guys, you have to be there next month. Right. So the exact opposite of that. But my point is sometimes we're getting in our head and we are having a conversation about why we shouldn't do it, why we don't want to do it, why it's uncomfortable. And when we're focusing on that, guess what happens? We talk ourselves out of it. Right?
It's me.
It's all
Yeah.
of us.
It is all of us. So the 5-second rule, have you guys ever heard of the 5-second rule? Not the one where you drop the food on the floor and you still eat it. You do that, Wes?
I'm a guy.
Oh, all right. Touche.
Well, I don't know if it's an
Austin
Oreo.
can appreciate what I'm talking about.
With that, you know, really it's that 5-second rule of don't think about it, just do it for 5 seconds, 5 seconds of courage. I forget the name of the book. I don't know if it's 2 seconds, 5 seconds. I like 5 seconds. It's just 5 seconds of courage to do the thing, to do that one, right? Make the call. I will legit be making calls going, I don't really want to make calls. I'm not in the mood today to be yelled at. I'm not, And as I'm arguing with myself, I just push the button. And then I have no choice. It's like I have 2 different people in my head, but you just push the button. And then next thing you know, you just keep going. And after you've had a couple, isn't it easier?
Oh, yeah.
It's easier. And then when you hear that person that's like, go pound sand, you know, you're stupid, you're an idiot, then I just laugh. I'm trying to make a joke somehow, or I'll say, I probably shouldn't say what I really say on a recorded call, but you know, like, have a great day. And when they disconnect, I have a favorite word, which starts with the F, and I usually is that. And then I go on to the next call because I'm a verbal person, so I can get it out. I can make fun of things, and then I just move on to the next thing. So you find what makes you, whatever works for you in order to keep that going. Right?
Mine's or not. Have a good day or not.
Have a blessed day. Yeah.
Mhm.
What are some things that you guys can do to get out of your head to help you move forward in your business?
Stop thinking so much.
Stop thinking so much. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so guilty of overthinking things, and I'm too guilty, way too guilty of, it's all about how I feel.
Mhm.
And I have to realize, no, it's not. It's not about how I feel. If I'm going to make a living, it's not about how I feel. It's about what I've got to go do, whether I feel it or not. And so that's what I have to get past.
I love that. When I'll just tell you guys one of my limiting beliefs that I've had to push push through, honestly. I'm not a high I, even though I come across it on, actually, I've gotten more high I over the years with Ben, believe it or not. But I've always been afraid to put myself out there, like, oh, what's someone going to say? Oh, they're going to say this is wrong, or I don't have all the right information. I don't have all the information, right? So it kept me from recruiting the people and partnering with the people that I wanted to be in business with. It kept me from actually moving forward to the extent that I know in my head that I can do, until I realized everyone's doing the same thing. Like, here, I think they're all judging me because it's all about me, right? They don't care what I'm doing. They're doing their own thing. So why am I limiting myself because I care what they think? Stop caring about what everyone else thinks and just do the things. When you're making the calls, they're not even remembering who your name is. And we're so afraid about making that mistake or pissing someone off or sounding like a salesperson. By that 20 seconds, they don't even remember your name. They don't even remember your brokerage. They remember nothing about you. We care.
My biggest,
What, Angie?
my biggest hurdle is fearing somebody's going to ask me the question I don't have the answer to, because it really bothers me a lot to not be able to answer someone's question like immediately.
What bothers you about that?
I don't know. It just does. It's like I get stressed if I don't have the answers. Even when my grandson asks me a question, it's just like, if I don't have the answer, it's like, oh, wait, hey, let me Google that. But then, oh, do I look dumb because I didn't have that answer? I guess that's what bothers me, is I feel like I look dumb to other people.
Bing, bing, bing.
I get that, because I also don't like to look dumb, 100%. So what is it you can say so you can still answer them and be okay?
I can get back to you with that. I don't have the answer for that, but I will find it.
And what's wrong with saying that?
Nothing.
So keep
Just
saying that.
learning to implement that instead of letting frustration, I guess, take over.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I'm not sure. So let me just do some research so I can get back to you with 100% confidence. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. By the way, even for you newbies on the call, like, you guys know more than the people that are out there buying and selling. Even if they've sold 5 properties, you still know more than they do. Right? Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Does everybody believe that?
What? I would say that's harder to believe compared to like luxury sellers.
Yeah, luxury sellers can be a little bit more demanding. Absolutely. Absolutely. But you're not, even luxury sellers and buyers have probably only done a handful of properties. And even if you haven't sold a property, you know the rules. You have a whole team that has had success over many, many years to lean on. You know more than they do about current stuff. Even realtors that were realtors 10, 15 years ago that are no longer in the business, but they're for sale by owner, you know more than they do. Has this market not changed significantly in the last 15 to 20 years, Wes?
Oh, absolutely. I've been in it for 10 years and it's changed drastically from when I first got in it to, say, 3 years ago into now. I mean, huge changes in those 3. And just the number of agents in the market, and also how people react to listing and what expectations are and how they react to interest rates.
Yeah, absolutely. I just
Mhm.
assumed you were in longer, see?
Mhm.
Yeah. It comes back, guys, to the story that we say in our heads and being aware of that story and then asking yourself, is this reality? Is what I'm telling myself reality? And I bet the answer is no. Okay, I'm going to go on because I like this one. Oops. I just like the crying baby, so don't take offense. The thing that we hear a lot in real estate is knowing your why and pushing through and digging deep. And I'll tell you, for many years, this actually kind of pissed me off because I thought the way everyone talked about this big why, I thought this why had to be this huge thing. Like I had to be solving world peace and world hunger and, have this foundation that's going to solve all these big things. And really, in the beginning of real estate, my why was feeding my kids. Like they're the reason I got out of bed. It had nothing to do with anything else. I just knew I had to support them. So when you think about your why, that should help push you through. What's the big sigh for, Jana?
Someone said to me, money is not a strong enough motivator. And I was thinking that people, I hear so much like, I want to help people. It's like, no, you want to make a lot of money. And greed is not really a very valuable moral compass for people to say that's what they are or what they want. And
Mhm.
so finding the balance between I want to help people as a why versus I want to make a lot of money. And so that's why I was saying.
Got it. I love that. And I think to me, I want to help people is kind of like saying I want to be a real estate agent because I like HGTV, right? It's very generic. And we all, I think, probably want to help people to some degree. And there are many things that we can choose to do to help people. But when you are laying in bed at 5 a.m. and your alarm goes off and you know you have bills to pay, but you really just today you cannot adult. Helping people is not generally what gets you out of bed. There's got to be something else. And I agree with you about like greed is not a good thing to say. I want to make a lot of money. Why do I want to make a lot of money? I want to make a lot of money because every year the Boise Police Officers Association calls me and says we're short a few $1,000s in order to help these kids. And I feel good being able to write a check for whatever it is that's different, right? That's the thing money can do to help, as an example.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the beginning, people don't know what their why is, though, really. And 3 years ago, when I started and my first broker asked me why I wanted to get into real estate, my answer was, well, I like looking at different homes and I like the idea of being able to choose when I work. And she laughed at me.
That's too bad.
And said, you'll find out soon enough that you won't be able to choose, the hours that you.
Right.
Yeah. And you, once again, Angie muted herself. Nope, you're muted, Angie. And you're still muted, sister. Okay.
It's my time.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I don't know what you hit there. But I agree.
Somebody was calling and I had a duh moment to not hit that off button.
That's all right. But once again, you have actually honestly teed up the next slide. Most people get into business because they want flexibility. And flexibility really takes being consistent and creating a predictable business that allows you to have the flexibility. Consistency comes from doing the same things boring over and over and over again, right? Like Chris talks about this on so many Friday calls. And predictability comes from doing it enough times that we actually know the statistical outcome. I always laugh that we ask a bunch of realtors who, generally speaking, are high D's and high I's, which means they don't like to slow down and record anything. And yet we're asking them to put information into Brivity or to, document their calls so that we could track. But if we really understood the significance of that, we would probably do it a little bit more. I have a picture. This is my mom. And I like to share this story because it's really about boundaries. And generally, when we talk about flexibility, when we are a realtor and we're able to do what we want when we want, people assume that we can then do anything, including whatever they want. And so my mom, when I first got into real estate, was really good about calling me 10 times a day to ask for anything she wanted, any question that she had before she forgot about it. And I was really good about answering the phone and getting pissed. Right? So it was a great formula. And then I took bold and I had a realization that I'm in control of my schedule. And if I worked at a bank, my mom could not call me. So why is it that I allow that to happen? Because I'm in real estate. So I just started saying to her, Mom, I love you. I'm going to help you at 5 o'clock tonight when I get home. Now she does still call me because she forgets, right? But I don't answer the phone. And I could see her voicemail come through, and 95% of the time, it's nothing that I even need to call her back about. We put that expectation in our head. And, early on the 9 to 5 comment that you made earlier, Angie, the first 2 years, I think, are so challenging because we're setting up this foundation and we want a strong foundation and we're building our databases and there's so much information coming at us. And I remember so many times going, I just want to get a normal job, right? It'll be so much easier. I don't have to think about it. I can make money. I have my weekends and, my evenings to be mom. And I always came back to, yeah, but I can't be room mom because I can't miss work. I can't be president of Little League because I can't miss work. I am allowing someone else to tell me what I can do when I can do it. And I'm allowing someone else to put a cap on me. So it's hard. And the why, no matter how small, even if you don't know it yet, will help you push through that. Right? Oopsie. The last piece really is, are there any objections or questions that you guys have in your head that you want to talk through? Any customer client objections that you're getting that you're struggling with?
I would say, I would say, how do you as a coach and kind of stay positive? I tend to want to be instructive, and also in my, I'll be cynical and be like, that's not going to work. Just like if people are coming in kind of like, well, I'm going to keep these things going. And so I guess just trying to kind of help people in keeping it positive when you see, obviously, like, this is not going to work for this person. And I'd rather save them the trouble from spending a year kind of trying to figure it out and then just kind of fade away.
When you say it's not going to work for this person, like what are you referring to?
Well, like just say what they think it's gonna be like to do real estate on the early side, and then what it will be like if they don't really create like a full-time job and take it seriously enough to make it work. So I guess just
It's a great question.
positively, yeah, just encourage, but also like this is what I'm noticing, I guess.
My perspective is, first of all, Wes knows this, I'm very blunt. And I have no problem when I am hiring to partner with someone, I tell them how hard it's going to be. I tell them all the limiting beliefs. Like there's something about real estate that every limiting belief comes to the forefront that you have to work through. And I'm here to help you through all that. But you have to be honest with me. You have to share it with me. You have to talk to me about it. If you are going to only do it yourself, then you're probably not going to be very successful. It's just the reality of it. If I'm coaching my agents and they're not doing their activities, which many of them aren't, it depends. In the beginning, there's a little bit more love and grace, meaning, what's getting in your way with this? How can I help you? What's the plan? And when it continues, my conversation is a little bit more like, do you want to be homeless? Where are you going to go when you're not making money? Because that's the reality of it. Many of us want to put our head in the sand, and it is so much easier. But what's the alternative? And honestly, Jana, who am I to say that in a year they're not going to make it or not? My first team leader didn't think I was going to be a successful realtor. He was wrong. We don't know what's really within someone and what they're willing to push through in order to have that success. And I think the two part of that is really helping them focus on the plan. But if at any time I'm wanting it more for them, I'm out. If it's just a matter of they're focusing more on negativity and excuses, then I'm going to ask them questions to focus more on positive things and the successes that they had that day. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anything else, guys? I'll leave it on this. You don't have to be perfect to be successful. Realtors look different. We all have different businesses. It's still plugging into the plan and the systems. The great thing about Place is they have already designed it for you. And no, it's not perfect. It's way more perfect than it used to be, huh, Wes?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So plug into what is already there, what is already known, and what is already proven. Let go of needing to do it all yourself. There are people there to help you and coach you. And if you need anything in Idaho, I'm your chick.
He is too. Michelle, thank you for spending time with us today.
Absolutely. Hope that was helpful. And if I could help anyone, please let me know.
All right.
It was helpful.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you again.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.